Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Trust Sports. We're in the building. What is this? Week 4? Is this week
Just
4?
just wrapped up week 4 in
Okay.
NFL. I
Okay.
get week 4 or 5 for college.
College. But we have to speak on Philly. Philly's in
Fuck,
Madhouse right now. Congrats
fuck
to
it.
the big Phils. But hey, we had the one thing everyone's talking about is the Philly environment. So let's just show you this is I don't even know what inning this is, but it could have been just a regular strike as well. So it really does not matter. But here's a quick look into what Philly mayhem is from the perspective of the fans. Let's take a look.
And the pitch to Bryson. Fastball hit in the air. Deep to right field. Going back is Sanchez. He's going to just watch it go. A grand slam for Bryson Stotts. He has lifted the roof off the building. And the Phillies have opened it up. They're on top 7-0.
I mean, hey, it was a grand slam, 7-0, but that environment was wicked, man.
It's unbelievable. And look, you know me, I'm a baseball guy through and through. I've said this last year when we talked about the Phillies going on their run. The Eagles are so important to this city, and there's so many diehard fans. But I stand by, this is a baseball city first, and when the Phillies are good, this is what happens. It's fucking ridiculous. I wasn't at that game. I was at game 1. And there was a video of, and just like the crowd itself, I think it was the second batter of the game.
Yeah.
Struck him out, and you would have thought that was like 1 out away from the World Series. Like the crowd was going fucking insane. It's honestly, I've never experienced any sporting event like these playoff games. I went to 4 or 5 last year, went to game 1 this year. Like just listening to it on the TV sounds different. Like watching the other games, and I think you and I talked about the Rays, that's a little different. But like even watching the Twins games, like they're sellouts and it's loud. But like just watching the Phillies play in Citizens Bank Park, like it's real. Like the home field advantage there is absolutely real.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we're like a year to date of running, Trust Sports, and it was around this time that we were talking, like, the big time Phillies, like the underdogs and set, you brought up last year, the Philly sports in general need the underdog mentality in order to go far, and the fans feed into it. And I do agree with you that I feel like Philly is a Phillies first type of home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you're in Boston. What do you think about Boston? When you compare to Boston, what do you think? I feel like Boston is like when you think of that fan base, do you think of the Patriots, or do you think about the Red Sox? In my opinion, I think Red Sox.
I think I do too. Like when things are both good, and again, like, we kind of see it now. Like now the Patriots are ass. Like that fan base is kind of like you don't really hear much from Patriots fans anymore. Once number 12 left, but it always seems like Boston Red Sox, like the history and everything that goes along with it. But it's just it's really fucking incredible. And honestly, I don't know if I've ever experienced like a team I've rooted for, and I've heard other people say this too, like Philly fans. I don't remember feeling this connected with a team. Like it almost seems like this team feeds off the fans, like feeds off the city and that underdog mentality. And like this year's a little different because they went on that run. And like, look, you won the pennant last year. You can't be underdogs anymore. And I think they understand that. And like from what I saw from the series against the Marlins, they hit on all cylinders. The pitching looked great. The bullpen looked great. They came up in key spots when they needed to with runners in scoring position. Like this felt more of like fucking take care of business, bring on the Braves. Like that's it. Get us out in these 2 games. Marlins can be frisky as the wild card. Anything can happen. This team just feels different, and it feels so connected to the city, which I think is why, again, like you get this crowd. Like they're not only rooting for the colors, they're not only rooting for the Phillies. Like it's really like they're rooting for these individual guys.
Yeah,
and it's so much fun.
I mean, I play baseball. I mean, we play baseball together our whole lives.
Yeah.
But I'm a huge baseball head. But when it comes to like if the Yankees aren't in it, I have no problem. It's weird. I saw someone talk about like, can you wear like other people's hats? Like, there's only one team I won't wear, and it's the Red Sox, right? Because I know that's their biggest. Right? You'll never see me wear Red Sox. I'll wear the Mets because I think you carry that more when you're in New York. Like when you're in New York, that Mets and Yankees hate is stronger there. But I think that during it, looking at it, I'm like, I could definitely support the Phils. You would never see me support the Eagles, but you would see me support the Phils being in Philly and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I really think because you were texting me, I think on both games that the Phillies played, and I told you I was at game 1, and we were like, oh yeah, we got to go. Like if the tickets are right, we'll go. 1,000%. I bet every cent in my bank account that if we go to a game together, you're flipping. You're like, I'm a Phillies fan. Like, just I'm telling you that feeling, like it's nothing I've ever experienced. And you're gonna get there and be like, dude, this
I don't know. It can't compare to the. I mean, I know the stadium. Like, I do love going to watch Phillies games, but Philly is a more intimate. Like, legit, when you're in the stadium, no matter where you're sitting, you feel like you're on top of each other. That's what, like, I think the construction of it towards the Yankees, it's like you feel like you're in a coliseum. Like, it's like humongous. The fucking ceilings are tall. That part of like being at New York, I do love, but Philly's definitely that small griminess. Did you see? I was trying to get the video in here. Did you see the guy who tried to bring in an alligator as an emotional support animal? And I was like, you hear the guys in the background with the fucking Delco accent and like I never fucking pet a fucking alligator before. And I was like, yo, this is like so Philly. And then they go out and win the fucking game. But what are your expectations? I know you, and we'll talk about later when you're locks, you're putting it in. I know it's just fan biasy, but you have it locked in that you predict beating the Braves. So do you honestly feel that way?
I truly do. And I'm truly gonna start by saying the winner of this series will win the World Series.
Really?
Whatever way it goes. I really think that. And I think this could be a series that really puts Major League Baseball on the map for the postseason. I think it's the best playoffs out there, but like you're talking division rival, two of the best lineups in the league. What happened last year when the Phillies, like, they really put it to them and upset them in the playoffs. Like, there's a little bit of a revenge factor for the Braves. But what kind of gets me is, like, we talked about Wheeler and Nola. If they're on like that, you're not going to beat them. I think that this has been such a close series during the course of the season. Braves been the best team in baseball since the first pitch in April. Like, they never stopped. But the season series has always been so close. I want to say the last series that these two teams had, 2 of the 3 first games went in the extra innings. Like, it is so dead even. But I think what puts the Phillies on top is because of how their pitching is kind of set up. And it's the same recipe as what we talked about last year. Steal one of the first 2 in Atlanta. That's it. That's all you got to do. Because then that team has to come to Philadelphia and play in that environment. And you know, and I know that baseball is more of a mental sport than any of them. 100%. I really think that the Braves, if you gave them truth serum, there's one team they didn't want to see in the playoffs. One. Yeah. Philly. And I really believe that. And look, I'm looking at them. I don't think they're a little banged up. The Braves are in their pitching rotation. Some of their guys aren't fully healthy. Their one ace, bro, I don't know if you saw this, Spencer Strider. He's the guy that led up the big home run to Rhys Hoskins last year against the Braves in Philly. That really got that crowd going. His hot take about a week ago was that baseball shouldn't have fans and it was better in 2020. And I was like, this dude is scared to death.
What? He said that like when? Like how long ago?
Their ace, a month ago, I think. Like it was pregame. Yeah. So you're telling me that kid's going to come in Philly, and all they're saying is like, yo, if he pitches here pregame, just show that video over and over and over and over again. Us ripping him, man. And I really think it's more of a mental game. Like if you get on them just a little bit, like if you steal 1 or 2 in Atlanta, then you get to an early lead in Philly, it's going to be easier for them to crumble because the pressure's on the Braves more so than the Phillies.
I mean, the Phillies sit in the spot of like, we're just happy to be here and we might as well fuck up your day while we're at it. And like,
and the Braves are like, we're statistically one of the best teams ever. Yeah. If we don't win the ring, like if we get knocked out in our first round of the playoffs again to this fucking Phillies team who we hate, this division rival, like what the fuck? So
on the other side, you don't think they hold up the strength to beat any like the Phillies, the Braves, whatsoever?
Yeah, I think so. The other series is the Dodgers and Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and they're kind of like a little bit remind you of the Phillies last year, right? Yeah. Like they went to Milwaukee, took care of business. Yeah. Now they're playing their division rival, who's the favorite. But they don't really scare me all that much. Okay. And on the AL, I just don't think it's as talented. Like it's tough to say because the Astros are still sitting there. The Orioles have been great. But I really think like looking at the Phillies and looking at the Braves, it just seems like those two teams they've been on a collision course all year long. And it's like, take care of business, try to fucking battle this one out. And they should be the favorites the rest of the way.
It's just I struggle with fucking Philly being able to, like, I don't think Philly deserves rings, and I don't think they don't deserve these things. But like the only thing I think Philly deserves is like a Sixers ring. Like that's the only thing I want for Philly. Like, but that's like the only
worst team to give us a ring for.
That's the only thing I could say, really, because I have no stain, right? Because I don't really care about basketball as much to where like my team is the Sixers if it comes down to it.
Right.
But like It's just because really it's the fans of like the wishy-washy fans who are now like, if anything, there's true Philly fans. I believe that there's more true Philly fans than there are of like Eagles, Sixers, like that will just bandwagon. So I mean, I'm here for it. Like I fuck with Red October to the death. You'll never see me rock a Phillies jersey, but you'll definitely see me. You know, I wasn't born and raised in Philly, but you know, my whole life, my mom lived in Northeast Philly, so I grew up in Philly. Like I know what that is like to be over there.
And look, if nothing else, like I'm sure you've seen the videos of how this Phillies team parties and celebrates. If nothing else, just think of that fucking parade.
Yeah. I'll go to that parade. I won't. I'll never go to an Eagles parade.
That's just gonna be a huge party, man. That'd be fun.
Yeah. I'm here for that. I'm here for that vibe. It's funny. One of the directors and at my job, she's like a diehard Phillies fans. Like she has season tickets to where like she can go to half the games, I think.
Yeah.
So like she was like, I mean, like it was like 4:30 and like I seen her leaving the office like full get out, and I was like,
hell yeah.
I was like, enjoy the series, man. She was like, thank you so much. Like she put me on to the Wawa that you could bring in your own Wawa.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? I was like, fuck that. So every time I go now, I bring my own Wawa.
Hell yeah.
But hey, clutch. It's exciting to see. Postseason Philly is so much better watching than I think any other postseason of teams to watch like in the games.
Yeah. And again, I think it's just baseball, man. Like playoff baseball is insane.
Yeah, it turns up in October. I love it. Moving on. We want to move into the NFL.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Oh man. So you know what sucks is that we wait to record. We need to start being consistent with recording early in the week, even fucking the next day, because we have so much angst and hate and like vibes that we go back and forth Sunday and Monday. By Tuesday, we're so burnt out from work that we're just like, all right, like on to the next week. But I have a lot to say about your Eagles, and I think that the Eagles are a beatable team. I truly think if I were to go for the undefeated teams, I think the Eagles are definitely a team that skated through, they got by, and I think that they're a team that will lose and is beatable in postseason play. I truly think that when it comes to postseason play, I mean, you put in that home field advantage, whatever you want to say, that I'm not as nervous of the Eagles as I thought I would be at this point. Like I thought this year I would have been a lot more nervous of the Eagles coming out of last year. But I could definitely see it's a different team, and I see the little weak points that they may have. And I think that this is the first time that I can say that I don't have so much belief in Jalen Hurts. I believe in his ability to win you the game, but for some reason, when like I just didn't see his confidence as much. And again, he's a week-to-week quarterback. I think he's the strongest mindset quarterback, and I know he could bounce back from it. But I didn't see that was the first time I was like, wow, I'm not seeing that Jalen that I'm used to seeing. But as a fan, I wanted to see. I know these nail biters are like, we got the W, but I said last year, and this is one of our first arguments is that these nail biters are gonna bite you in the fucking ass. So I wanted to see what you had to say about that, man. The stress, that is a stressful life to live.
So it's weird, right? Because first, to your Jalen Hurts point, I know we texted about it on the Monday night game against the Buccaneers, and I think I've said every single week when you ask me about it, one of the first things I say is Jalen Hurts has looked bad, and maybe in the grand scheme of things, like it's probably not bad, but
you're comparing him to what?
Sure. And again, I think a lot of that is on the offensive coordinator. It's a complete feel. But no, it just doesn't. You're right. Like it doesn't seem as easy as it was last year. Like it almost seems like everything's difficult. But But then it's like I look and I'm thinking to myself, okay, well here I am bitching. The team's 4-0. They put up 34 points. Like the drives that they absolutely needed to score because they were behind at halftime. Like they were behind for most of that game. But whenever you needed to score, like Jalen Hurts got it. And it almost felt like, again, they are getting by the skin of their teeth. But it's like, is that a positive or a negative? Because I look at this in comparison to last year's Vikings, right? Because that's one team that it was like, hey, man, they're undefeated. They're 8-1, 9-1, but they're winning all these close games. Like something's got to give. I think the difference is I really just believe truly that this team will find a way to just get better and better. Like I really find it hard to believe that Jalen Hurts is going to look – again, he hasn't even been like bad, but I don't think he'll look this average in relation to what he's looked like last year. I would have to believe he's shown enough, and like you said, his mentality, I don't think he'll let himself be that. The one thing is just, again, this coordinator – the offensive coordinator has impressed me. There's been a lot of injuries already in the secondary. Like we just signed Bradley Roby to the roster because like they have no corners left. They're down to like their third string safety, fourth string safeties every other week. So like that obviously meant messes some things up. And these division games are always tough. Like at the end of the day, like Washington came in, they showed you they're a much better team than Washington in the past.
Yeah.
And you like it was almost like, again, for the fourth straight game, you were getting beat, and then you just said to yourself, we're better. Like let's just be better. And
but do you think like at the end of the game, that last, did you guys have the punt in a crucial time? Like you gave the ball back at a critical point, right? Or
so we scored the go-ahead touchdown. AJ Brown's taunting penalty, which is stupid.
Yo, I think I do not like AJ at fucking all, bro. Like I don't like him. I don't know why.
I've never been so pissed at a dude that went for 175 and 2 scores. But it's just like, dude, like you're on a rookie corner all game. He's talking. You 9 catches, 175, 2 touchdowns. Just you shut him up already. The dude's crying on the sideline.
Yeah.
Like why are you taunting and giving them 15, 20 extra yards at the kickoff? And honestly, bro, I was certain that Washington was going to go for 2 at the end of that game. I don't know why they didn't. Really.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Go on the road against the Eagles, which are clearly like the benchmark, and you're right there. Like, what? That was pretty much him saying that. That's pretty much that. That was pretty much him saying, "I'm still nervous of our quarterback and of that defense." That was him saying that, right? But I said, once you go into overtime, you lose. I said, no matter that's where I say no matter what, Jalen Hurts is clutch, because I believe if you put Dak and Jalen Hurts in that conversation, I say, oh, I trust 100% Jalen Hurts to get the job done, right? In that scenario, you fucking kick a field goal there, like no, go fucking win the game or pack up. No, there's no way you would take any hate from your fan base or anyone saying, why did you go for 2? Exactly.
No one will say that. The ownership shouldn't even say that. If the ownership were to condemn him and say we should have kicked the field goal, fuck that. Not in Philly. No.
Yeah, maybe if you're home. Like if you're in Washington, it's a little bit different. But that defense was gassed, man. Like you could have easily honestly, you could have handed the ball off to Brian Robinson. He probably gets
drove down the field, just bang, bang. And I said, I think Washington may have the quarterback. You get some guys if for me, it's not even just about athletic. It's not just about athletic ability, placement of the ball, like all those things. I definitely saw to him, but it was his willingness to fucking win. Like he was running, he was taking the hits, and I was like, that's what I want to see out of my guy. Like out of my guy with a fucking awful offensive line, like getting the job done. That's what I expect out of Daniel Jones. That's what I want to see stepping up and not just fucking collapsing in the pocket. Like those are the things I saw to him. I was like, fuck, Washington might have a thing. And then we flipped the coin to the other side. We love to see it. I wish I got to be able to find this clip of us saying the Giants will be last in the division. And it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see that Washington has stepped up to the mark and are able to play ball. I mean, that's a team that, not for nothing, Eagles skate through. Cowboys lose that game.
Look, man, I feel like I know I've been saying for it seems like 2-3 years now. Like, if Washington gets a quarterback, look out.
Yeah,
and because they've been wrong with Taylor Heineke type guys. Like, if Sam Howell is what he's shown to be, like even if he's a top 15 quarterback, like they got some guys on defense, they got some playmakers on offense. And
I mean, the defense kept you in the game. The defense kept you in the game versus a fucking top offense. Like the reason they were in that, like they kept you in that game. So like, no matter what, hats off to Washington. I think that by all means, like the blessed to that arm having his foot out of bounds, like wasn't it at like the end where his arms he stepped on his arm. I was like, oh, that's a fucking L to take, man. That sucks. But hey, it's ball. It is what it is.
Yeah, and honestly, like at the end of the day, I think the last 2 offensive plays for the Eagles in overtime were perfect, like microcosm of what Jalen Hurts has been this year. He had a terrible intentional grounding call that pushed them out of field goal range, and you're like thinking, like, what the fuck are you doing? And then the very next play, like he knows where he's out on the field. Devontae Smith for a quick 10 yards, Jake Elliott, bang. So it's like he's playing that bad, but then knows what he needs to do in order to win these games. And again, I'm going to trust that Jalen Hurts and this offense will start to become an offense that's like, you know what? We're not going to be able to skate through these games. It almost seems like, again, they're just biding their time until they maybe get to the bye week, figure some things out. Then they have that tough stretch. But look, I said in the beginning of the year, it has a feel as like the Eagles, Niners, and maybe the Cowboys are almost like, just get us through the regular season healthy and we'll figure out.
I mean, when you turn around and you look at the way that the Giants are playing, it's it's love, man. Like I love to see them getting embarrassed like week in and week out, and I love to see the I love to see the pendulum move always in the opposite direction for them. It was last year, gets the weapons for Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. Now it's we need an offensive line for Daniel Jones. Then it's we don't have a defense. It's like just say you guys fucking suck and just move on. Like that's I read like it's. I only had one Giants fan, one of my students, just say like, "What do you want out of me?" Like I've accepted the fate. It's over. The year's over. Like I've accepted it. I've had my other boy, Mike, who was on the podcast, just say like, "Yo, Penn State's 4-0." Fuck it. I love that. Like I love being like fuck them and move on. Not these guys who are making excuses like probably James is.
Oh yeah. Look, I'm telling you, bro, the best thing that's going to happen to the Eagles and Cowboys was having the Giants believe enough in Daniel Jones from last year to give him $160 million.
That's true.
Love. That's love.
Very true. When we look around the league, we have the Bengals looking like shit, man. 3-27 versus the Titans. We have the Dolphins taking the L versus the Bills. Your stat was 100% correct on that one. With coming back after blowing a team out by 60 or more, losing the next week, that was amazing. And then the Booty Bowl, Broncos versus the Bears.
Oh my God, man!
Yeah,
Caleb Williams time in Chicago.
You said what was that?
Caleb Williams time in Chicago.
Yeah, and then you have my Cowboys beating the Patriots 38-3. And then the Jets. I want to talk about the Jets versus the Chiefs a little bit later. But I don't know any of those games. Or anything surprising that you've walked up and see? I think everyone's talking about the Bengals being so surprised by this team and really what's going on in the media. From was it Chase saying like I'm always fucking open, like like and I think we're just seeing a Joe Burrow who's really I think pushing it to the limits. He's injured. I think he's trying to play through all these injuries and play up and. It's a detriment to the team. I mean, how many points have they put up the entire year? Like they've barely been able to score. And I mean, as a wide receiver and an offense, like as a defense alone, that's a rough 4 fucking weeks, bro. To be playing, that's fucking rough to go out there every week and not have the belief in your offense. Like 1, 2, 3 out. Like that's a lot of ball you're playing on the defensive side. So I still believe in my guy though.
I do too. And look, I think we talked about it before the season started. And Jamar Chase came out and said. Like, look, I told Joe Burrow, like, sit the first 5 weeks, bro. Like, sit the first 5. We'll figure out, like, get healthy. Yeah.
Wow.
And everyone was kind of like, oh, no, like, if he's healthy, play. He's not healthy, bro. He can't move. And the defenses know that. I think I saw, like, 98% of their snaps this year are from the shotgun because he just can't get under center and move back. Wow. Like, what else do you want? And it's to the point where I think they play the Cardinals this week. Like, you backed yourself into a corner now. Because this should be a game against the Cardinals where it's like, Joe's not healthy. Like, let's give him the week to rest up. But you can't afford to lose this game.
Yeah.
Like, do you really feel like now you backed yourself in a corner where it's like, we can't throw our backup quarterback out there because nothing is a definite win right now. So I'm still going to believe in them if they get healthy, but that's a tough injury and it's showing.
Yeah. Well, we have a big week to come up. I mean, I think the only positives I can say come out this week is like the Cowboys just. I still don't know who the Cowboys are. I don't know what their identity is. This is a huge week going against the 49ers. I mean, the thing only that I can say is like that's amazing to have like that be the worst loss in Bill Belichick's career ever.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's a W in my book. But beating them that way is not a W. I need to see more out of Pollard. You haven't heard anything from Pollard. I haven't heard nothing from being able to still score in the red zone. And I really think that's coming down to the play calling down there. And you're kind of going like it now that it's so apparent, it puts more pressure on having to score in the red zone that it's just a harder fight against ourselves. And this is a big week. You have the Cowboys versus 49ers. I think honestly, like, if anything, I'm more of like we suck. We're going to lose this game. This is a game we definitely could win. We definitely can put Brock Purdy on his ass. We definitely could put some things in the picture to say, you guys aren't that good. You guys aren't that firing on all those cylinders as we think and hand them their first L going into this week. I think our defense just has to play their best ball and really get to Brock Purdy. But on the other flip side, I think that I'm so nervous going against the defense. Like this defense is who I'm scared of. And then of course your boy McCaffrey. McCaffrey's coming off his best game he's ever played in his entire fucking life. I mean, shout out to your boy, to Jack for getting their 50 points with one players out of this fucking world. But it's a big game to step up, and I think we're in San Francisco as well. So hey,
Sunday night.
I'm excited for this one, man.
Sunday night, everyone's going to be watching, man, and it's going to be a true test for both teams because I don't know how much. I guess you could say it's for a lot, but like how tested the Niners have been.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a good test for both teams to kind of see how good are the Niners, or like you said, what are the Cowboys? Like if they go in there and lose by 2 touchdowns to the Niners, like now what?
Yeah.
So it's going to be it should be a good one. I'm not saying I expect that to happen. I'm just saying like the Cowboys are such like a toss up. I feel like right now. Who's to say?
This will show me what our season is, right? This will show me what postseason will look like. This will show me like our true identity of like this will tell me is McCarthy and Dak out at the end of the year.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
The measuring stick.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But on the flip side, we have Jets versus Chiefs. Everyone calling for the head of the NFL, saying like, this is the reason why I don't bet. I don't really like betting on the NFL. I just think it's too wishy-washy. People are saying college is too up and down. I could kind of be more head on with college, but we have here the clips of the Sauce hold as well as the hold in the backfield. Yo, the dude that was held on the Jets, he's a last chance you guy.
Yeah. I saw that's how he like introduced himself to the Lions.
Yeah, he's last chance you. But let's take a look here at the hold and then Patrick Mahomes.
Bringing pressure, Mahomes throwing it up for grabs again. It's intercepted. The third of the night. A flag is down though as Michael Carter is down at the 32-yard line.
Got him 3rd and 20 again.
It should have been 1, not 11, right? He held 11, I guess. That seems like it was the flag over there. And Chelsea. Mahomes has time here. Gets with coverage downfield. Mahomes with forever. He's got a long way to go. Got 10, got 20. Got the first down at the 35-yard line. And he gives you the Kelsey point.
As a Jets fan, that would piss me off at the end, seeing him fire the.
I know.
Like that would piss me off. Now, here's the thing: Jets fans right now are trying to get any more victory possible, and right now they're gonna cough this up too. We got cheated, right? First, let's talk about the Sauce Gardner, the play. In my opinion, it's a hold. It's a blatant hold. But
where have we seen this movie before?
Okay,
a Chiefs game decided by a bullshit hold.
Now that's where I was gonna say. Last year we had the Super Bowl, right? We had a late call that, and for some they pull that's the reason why we do Super Bowl, right? And I think that, in my opinion, I last year I said the whole thing. I don't care when it's done. The only issue I have is how late that flag came out, and he double pumped the flag. Like he was like, should I? Okay, throw it.
Wait, it looked like it waited for him to see it got picked off.
Like, yeah, and that's the problem I have. I think it's a hold. When I see the grab behind the, as soon as I see the grab behind the helmet, the dude ran 10 more yards before you even consider taking the flag out. As soon as you see that toss to the head, throw the flag right away. That's the problem. I say, okay, this is playing into Jets fans' conspiracy theories right here.
Yep. No, I agree because it was a hold. You're right. Like that one to me was more of a clear hold, but. Like, it's funny to see – you see it in real time, but I think I saw a picture, too, of, like, the ball literally, like, the Jets defender coming down with the interception, and then you see the dude, like, just pull the flag out. And it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, he literally did wait until, like, Mahomes messed up a little bit. And then, look, what was worse was that non-call hold on the Chiefs. Like, that was blatant as possibly fucking be. The dude's literally throwing his arms up being like, please somebody see this. I can't fucking move right now. That one was terrible.
But I even said 100% a missed call. But I say, like, as a defensive lineman, you're taught to play through that hold and exaggerate the hold a lot more. And the problem I have that once he's held, he flares up.
And he kind of stops.
He just stops. And then he sees Patrick Mahomes go, and then he moves. No, like, you need to make a direction. You don't go straight anymore. Make a direction now. Show that you're fighting left. Show that you're fighting right, and don't just give up. The reason you still don't get that flag is because he doesn't fight through that. And I'm sure that's probably what he's getting coached up on, because I've definitely been there where you're getting held and you're like, what the fuck? You flare up. And then you look, the guy runs right by you. And it's like, fight through it so that they see the hold. They see, like, 100% he's getting the fuck held out of him. Okay. But he just stands still and he just gets driven back. You have to fight left or right. Show your direction of what you're trying to make to play it off more or flare up a lot more. Like, show that I'm trying to go in this direction as well. So that's the only thing I say is that fault of him, why he didn't earn the fucking call. You're 100%. You don't get it right away. Again, you could tell that ref is just staring in the eyes of Patrick Mahomes, of just being amazed by Patrick Mahomes, not even giving a fuck about what's going on over there. So you have to earn your flag, brother. Earn your flag next time.
Definitely. But look, as a Jets fan though, you see what Zach Wilson did. Like, it has to give you at least a little hope, because before then he looked like a JV quarterback. So
yeah, I mean, I don't like what everyone's going off after the announcer who at the end of the game was like Zach Wilson. He was like, "Hey, Zach Wilson."
Yeah.
Well, I forget what he was saying. He was picking up Zach Wilson. He's like, he sucks. Like, he sucks. Trying to make him say he sucks as a player. He's like, I'm not going to say he sucks. Like, we knew we had to play him. I mean, he played up. They were coming back, and I think no matter what, my bet might still fall through them not winning 7 games this year. Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, they again, it's the Jets. They could pull it out some way or another.
Yeah, and Rodgers keeps saying he's coming back at some point.
Dog, if he fucking comes back just for one game, that puts him over the 7. You know how fucking pissed I would be?
Oh my god, bro!
That's my luck, like going into it.
Screw you over.
Yeah, right. Exactly, 100%. Moving on to our college football, college ball, man. What a fucking weekend! What a weekend for bets that we had going on. What a weekend for great games to watch. Let's just take a look back. I want to make sure I have the right ones here. Kind of started off the day. Wait, do I have it right? It's turn to 9th. Yeah. Your guys, who you've been big up on all year, Kentucky beating Florida 33-14. USC beating Colorado 48-41. Georgia squeezing by Auburn 27-20. Michigan destroying Nebraska like we knew for the Busing Bowl. I love everything that's coming out of there. And then for the big W to come out of Mississippi versus LSU, Mississippi pulling it out 55-49 towards the end of that as well. And then I think everyone noticing finally, like, Duke isn't who we thought they were. They just beat up on Clemson, and Duke getting beat by Notre Dame 21-14. Out of all those games, I think that we like to start off with that Florida versus Kentucky game. We kind of knew that Florida wasn't that team. They had a great start of the year going off. They beat Texas A&M. No, that wasn't them. I'm sorry, that was Miami. But Florida they beat Notre Dame.
No. Florida beat. I want to say they beat Ole Miss at home, right? Because they started their year out losing to Utah.
They started off losing.
I'm sorry, they beat Tennessee.
They beat Tennessee. That's what it was. Yeah. So they were ranked so high going into this Kentucky game that we knew, like, all right, I didn't think it was going to come of an upset out of Kentucky. Like, I didn't see Kentucky being able to be like, no matter what, it's still Florida. But Kentucky has this fucking 6'7", 320 pound defensive lineman that's a fucking missile coming through. So that was amazing to see that. There's a guy like that landed in Kentucky.
Yeah. I mean, they're tough, man. That's why I took them. Like, it was more about Kentucky than I think it was for Florida for me.
Sure.
Veteran quarterback, like, they're just a solid team. But yeah, I think the one other game that really stuck out to me and want to kind of talk about with you, like the top 4 right now, Georgia.
Yeah.
They're not the top team in the country right now. And I know you and I were talking about it, and I kind of looked back. And if you play the blind resume game, because right now, like, they came in number 1, like, they're back-to-back national champions, like, you earn that respect. But you do blind resume. I was looking at the other teams in the top 4. Georgia's 4, best case. I think Michigan right now looks like the best team. Now they haven't had that big like opponent yet, but they're boat racing fucking people. Texas or Ohio State 2 and 3, whatever you want to put them, I can't argue with it. And then Georgia 4, and they play Kentucky at home. And it was a game I was looking at to bet Kentucky, but it might be a game Georgia just like flexes its muscles a little bit. But look out for that one, because it seems like every week, bro, they're going into halftime either down or tied or it's close. And they're talk about just squeaking out games. Like, they haven't played anybody yet, and it's looked hard.
Yeah, I mean, you look across. Like, I completely agree with you. Michigan being number 1. I mean, Michigan has been able to hold teams into 3 now this year. I forget what the stat was, but it was crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I didn't know that deal. I still would take Ohio State, but I think Michigan being number 1. I would put Ohio State number 2 just because of winning on the road versus Notre Dame. But Texas has been steamrolling teams. Like, it hasn't been close all year for Texas yet. Texas hasn't played anyone yet. And I think this is a huge week. But again, we
I think
Bama to that.
Yeah, exactly. I think honestly, you could tell me any of those three teams. Number one, I wouldn't argue with you.
Yeah,
but Georgia's
I
like,
agree.
what the fuck? No way.
Yeah, and I think this is the big week for Texas right here, right? This will show me like what Texas does against Oklahoma. But I think Georgia, no matter what, Georgia like has a chance. They have Kentucky, Vanderbilt next, whatever. After that, Florida, that's a big game for them. Like let's see towards the end of the year. No, not for nothing. This Missouri team is definitely a team to look out for that can definitely pull it out. And then you go against Mississippi, Tennessee, and then it's playoff time. So there's a good chance that Georgia falls back, but you're going to see the votes keep them in the top 4 no matter what. Even if only if they lose one game. If they lose just one game, they'll still stay in the top 4. But they could definitely lose one game on this next road here.
Absolutely. I mean, 100%. you just said 3-4 games that I could be talked into them losing for sure.
Mississippi or Tennessee, I could see them definitely losing. Yeah. And they have to go against Florida and Kentucky next. So I mean, hey, I'm here for it. One of the games that like wasn't as impressive, but no matter what, his stock rose for me was Caleb Williams, USC versus Colorado. No matter what, Colorado's who we knew they would be. It's been amazing to see them in the news, keeping it going. I knew there was no, I don't know if you had a chance to watch a game, but there is no like real comeback. You just start seeing them finally start to hit on all cylinders, and finally their defense stepping up. Their defense really made that change that like, okay, now going into this road next with this Pac-12, and we're going, like I said, we're going to start seeing the Pac-12 move a lot in these next couple of weeks. That they could definitely win a lot of these games coming up. You know, they have Travis Hunter coming back as well. So big games to be had, and I was excited to finally see that defense step up. I mean, Shedeur just hasn't had a chance. Like he's in the pocket, he's running for his fucking life right now. It sucks to watch and see. But a lot of those guys are stepping up. Like the wide receiver core is stepping up. The different guys are stepping up in there as well. So I'm excited to keep seeing them. I don't know who do they play next week.
They play Arizona State this week.
Okay, yeah, that's.
And then I think Stanford after. So realistically, 2 games that like you should win.
Yeah.
Again, I know we'll get to our picks because the Colorado Arizona State, I have a pick. One of my picks is in that game.
Okay.
But for me, honestly, like you're right, man. Like we talked about it, right? Like the first 3 weeks of this Deion train was fun as shit, and it was at the center of the sports world, not college football, like sports world. And then you had Oregon. You know, we kind of all saw that coming. Maybe not that to that extent, but like we knew they were going to get railed a little bit. Yeah. And then USC, like that game showed me more about USC than did Colorado.
Yeah, I
had USC in the playoff because of Caleb Williams, but this defense scares the shit out of me. I don't think they can stop anybody.
USC can be beat.
Yeah,
USC
easily.
Can definitely be beat. Easily. And I was like, if you throw them in the playoffs and have us go against, it's a W in my eyes. I have no fear in our defense our offense being able to fire, as well. I don't know why everyone's touting this Ohio State versus Maryland game. Like everyone's bigging this up. I guess because of Tua.
Maryland's undefeated, I think.
Yeah, and I'm just like, no, and it's at Maryland. So let's go get a W. I'm a little nervous because I'm just like, I don't know why the line is so close and everyone is going for Maryland, man.
Real quick, not this week, but the following week, USC goes to Notre Dame.
That's a game they could definitely lose. If anything, I take Notre Dame in that game just right now, coming off of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
From what I've seen from Notre Dame's offense, from that quarterback, he's fucking 28 years old. He's 30.
Yeah.
I don't see why he couldn't beat them. I mean, no matter what, as a fan, of course, I'm gonna be happy for W. They won that game. Like they were winning that whole entire game. Besides the last 1 second left, I can tell you now. It's a loss, but.
And that's definitely their way back in Notre Dame. That's their way back into potentially being the playoff team. So
for sure,
that's gonna be one to look out for.
Yeah, that's a good week. All right, it's good that I'm working this weekend. The only game I'm upset, I'm pretty much watching every game this weekend. Coming up, we have Maryland, Ohio State, LSU, Missouri, 20 balls versus each other. The big game I'm looking out for is Oklahoma versus Texas, Washington State versus UCLA, and then I'm really looking forward to this Arkansas versus Mississippi game as well. But that's pretty much it. But I'm glad I work from 5 to 11 on Saturday. So at least
those are at 6. So
yeah, I'll be watching that. I can at least watch while I'm there. But I picked to go. Like, last week I was like, I'm not fucking missing this weekend. And then this weekend I was like, all right, it's not too bad. So I don't mind working it. Do you want to get into your locks, man?
Yeah, let's do it.
Man,
Let's
you see the hat, man. Trust the locks.
What a week, man. What'd you say? I think if you tailed the boys last week, you were fucking having yourself a good fucking week. I'll tell you that much. So it's about time that we maybe start listening. We got people hitting us up, which is great. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the people listening in. But yeah, here it is on the stream right here, man. And I know we're going against each other in a couple of these games.
Yo, man, I can't believe you're not riding with me, man.
Look, I'll start with the UCLA Washington State game. It's weird. Okay. The last time that we saw these two teams, I think they're both coming off bye weeks. You had Washington State win a shootout game against a good Oregon State team. Like, I think that game wasn't watched as much because it was on the same time as Notre Dame, Ohio State. But it was back and forth, and like veteran quarterback who balled out. He's been balling out all year long for Washington State. They went in, they fucking got a huge win. And on the other end, UCLA faces Utah and only puts up 7 points. So why in the world are they 3-point favorites, right? Like that just something, it doesn't make sense to me. And I think this is one of those lines where as fans and people watching this game, it's like, okay, recency bias now takes over the overall work of art that are these football teams, and maybe Vegas just knows something. Yeah. So I'll take UCLA to cover that 3 there. Colorado, look, we just talked about them. I think 2 tough losses that we kind of all saw coming. I just think this is a week that Dion gets the team right, right? I think this is like let's show people that the first 3 weeks weren't necessarily like a fluke. We ran into 2 very, very tough teams, 2 teams that could be playoff teams in Oregon and USC. Like, let's just take our anger, frustration out on Arizona State, who really isn't that good of a football team. I think the offense just explodes, and I think they handle their business. And then the Red River rivalry game. Last 5 years, this game is combined for 80 points for these games. For me, Oklahoma isn't being talked about as much. Their offense, they're averaging over 500 yards per game on the offensive side of the ball. Their quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, has looked amazing. I think he's already thrown for like 15, 16 touchdowns. Like, I think it's because Lincoln Riley left. It seems like once he did, like, Oklahoma hasn't gotten that much love. I think they had a tougher year last year too. I'm just rooting for fun. Like, this is the noon game. This is a big rivalry game. It's one of the bigger ones in college football. I'm just going to bet for fun. Like, give me as many points as possible, have this be back and forth, and hit the 60. And then NFL-wise, I got Patriots beating the Saints. I think it's a pick 'em. Patriots might be 1-point favorites depending on where you bet. This just goes my theory, and especially Bill Belichick. Like, teams that get embarrassed the week before typically bounce back. True, and if there's ever a team to do that, it would be a Bill Belichick coach team.
Especially versus Saints.
Especially versus Saints. Yeah. And I look at it, and the Patriots lost their top cornerback, that rookie from Oregon, for the year. Matthew Judon is out for a while. Like, he clearly won't be in this game. But I just look at the Saints coming in. You're either going to face Derek Carr with an injured shoulder or Jameis Winston, who's like a pickoff machine. Yeah. I'm just going to trust Belichick to be like, dude, kick it in gear. Like, we need to fucking win. And I think they do. Okay. Jags, Bills, the London game. The stadium that this game's being played is different from the one that was played in the London game last week. There's been 6 games that have been played at Tottenham Stadium in the NFL. 5 of the 6 games have gone over. I don't necessarily love it. I'm kind of just going based off that stat, over 48 points. Bills have been red hot since I called out Josh Allen. I'm glad he listened to the podcast. He got some motivation off of that. I'm glad I can help him out. But look, I think that they're just red hot right now. I think the Jaguars, this is a game for them where it's like, so far, man, you're the same Jaguars. You won some, you lost some. You just let up almost 40 to C.J. Stroud at home. What are you? Like, step up. This is the upper echelon of the AFC. Let's see what you got. So I'll take you over there. And then for fun, man, take the fucking Phillies. Win the series. I think they're plus 170 last time I checked. They're going to win in 4. It's going to be the same thing you saw. They're going to steal one of the first 2 in Atlanta. Don't let them get the first game, because then you have Zach Wheeler pitching game 2. And then I don't see Atlanta winning in Philly. So that's just a little throw-in for baseball season.
Okay.
Let's go with the Fightins.
Hey, you see it here on the screen. Take a screenshot. Liam Locks. Don't hit us up saying, where can we find these picks? Clips out. We have it here. Yo, I'm so superstitious. Like, once I got the text, like, your locks are hitting, and then the game wasn't over yet. And I was like,
I know. Because that was Ole Miss too, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was like, my last leg. I was like, you don't break this unwritten rule, bro. Like, this is an unwritten rule. You let it ride out until that clock strikes 0. I was definitely considering taking out. Like last week, I put only 10 in for like 120. Or no, for a 200 almost dollar day. And I like they were offering me at first 180. 160, just going out as I got closer. And I'm like, fuck, should I cash that? And I'm like, yo, you know what? It's $10. Let it ride. Ole Miss was looking amazing. And then they started creeping back up. And I was like, fuck me, man. Like, someone spoke up with this. So I'm so hesitant to drop my picks, especially going against my boy. But at least my parlays here, I have the over and Oklahoma versus Texas. I believe that, you know,
you have the under. You have the under.
Oh, no, the under. I'm sorry. Yeah. You had the over.
So we're going ahead. Yeah, head to head there.
So I believe in the under. The only reason I'm taking this one is one of my guys who worked at the school. He went to Texas, goes to all the games. Huge football guy, loves them. I was talking to him. I was like, when I'm looking at Texas, I like, oh, Oklahoma. It's always a fucking great game. But I think this year is a battle for like we want to win this one, and it's going to be a defensive game. It could be a shootout as well with that quarterback from Oklahoma. But I'm hoping for the under here, and I think Liam's forgetting that clock. I'm going to be trusting in that clock to keep that shit fucking running as long as you can.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care who doesn't have the ball as long as you don't fuck. These are the thing that sucks about the unders, and when you're watching the game, you're like, defense to stop. Let's go.
Exactly. It's not fun to, yeah, exactly.
So it fucks you over, right? And then I'm going for straight up Washington State to beat UCLA. I truly think and believe in Washington State. I was surprised UCLA didn't get a W. A couple weeks ago. I really thought they would pull one out. But I truly do believe in Washington. Again, these are parlays, so they have to fucking hit. Wake Forest versus Clemson. I mean, hey, this is a Clemson team who sucks. This is a Wake Forest team who Wake Forest. I'm always going to go for the under 51 points here. And then for Colorado, I love seeing what Colorado was able to do at the end. Being able to really put some points up. I think they're starting to discover themselves. And they're going to say a fuck you to college football with Travis Hunter coming back and saying, let's ball out. So I don't see why they can't at least get you that 20 to 30 point range. And then hopefully Arizona State can get you something too. So here are the Malik's parlays. Hey man, you bet this. I think I put up 20 to get 600 on the line. And again, I don't chase the high reward. I chase what's manageable. And definitely not like an 8-leg, 10-leg parlay to be like 10 legs for like $1,000. I think that's definitely a manageable parlay.
It is. And look, you hit last week. My locks have been 12-0, 11-0 the last 2 weeks, 17-5, 17-5 this year. So look, take what you want. You may not love all of them. Take what you want. Like I said it last week, we're here to win you money. So anyway, 100%. We can do that. That's what we're here for.
Hey guys. Hey, thank you for supporting. Let's get a great weekend of picks of locks. Follow us on Instagram at WeTrust_podcast. Follow us on YouTube at In Those We Trust, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music Podcast, Apple Podcasts as well. Check out the locks. They're on Facebook as well. And follow Liam on the Instagram at
Liam Stokes 11.
Trust up, guys.
Thanks, Lee.